if I would have just pointed out those locks and then came home with my locks, my husband would have been like, okay, I'm not tripping off of them, but yours don't look like that.
Yeah. I've been down so in love like. 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 In love like.
I received a very interesting comment, and it was concerning fine hair and Sisterlocks. And I think it's important to talk about. I'm sure I've mentioned it in passing, and I've told the story many times in person, but I don't think that I've told that story here. So I want to kind of talk about it. Pardon my whole, I just got home from a long business trip and I saw that, and I know I need to post something. So this is it as I stretch out in bed. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do updates on my Sisterlocks on YouTube was to help the woman that I feel mirrored me. When I knew I wanted to do Sisterlocks when I got my first set of locks, and that was, I'm trying to think about the time. It had to been 15 years ago, 15 plus years ago. And at the time, once I knew the pricing and all of that, it just wasn't feasible for me. But one of the things that I did even then was I had to get my husband on a board. And the way that I did that was I knew I wanted to get locks. I knew I wanted Sisterlocks. And even if that didn't work out, I just knew at the end of the day, I was going to lock my hair. And no, it's not this thing of where my husband had to give me permission or anything like that. But when you are married, two becomes one. You can't do anything to your person, or not. You can because you're grown. But in my opinion, you should do nothing to your person or in your lives that could negatively affect your spouse, because your spouse is you. So anything that can cause discord or cause anything like that should be considered in detail, right? It just makes for a happier life. And my husband really honestly didn't care, but he didn't know either. So I may have been educating myself, and at the time there used to be there wasn't a lot online at all. So what I did was, as I went about town, anytime that I saw locks or saw Sisterlocks, whenever we saw them for probably about 2 years, I would point them out. Because in his mind, locks were dreadlocks, which makes sense, right? I grew up, and I say right because I grew up with a mother and in a environment where we listened to a lot of reggae music. Bob Marley and a whole bunch of other people was just a common experience in my household. And so locks did not mean to me growing up, and even now I don't consider locks and dreadlocks the exact same thing. I think in principle and in theory it's similar. I think the fact of doing them on a coarser hair texture is similar, but I think just because of the method being different, and I also appreciate the fact that the mental state going into them may vary, and it just makes for a different experience. And so when I decided I wanted to get locks and I wanted my husband aboard, then what I did for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, every time I would see someone with Sisterlocks or with smaller locks, and what people call them now are micro locks, or anything in anything smaller than a pencil size. That's what I was looking for. And every time I saw them, I would point them out to him. And it became this thing of, if he saw them, he would point them out to me. And we would have discussions about, why do they look that way? Or the coloring, or the maintenance of them, or the upkeep of them, or the lack of, and why would that be? And it would just become this conversation around dreadlocks, locks, sister locks, micro locks, and all of that, even to the point of the different textures, the different colors, the different lengths, the differences between the base, some having double-headed dragons, and all of that stuff. So it became this common part of our conversation for at least probably 2 years. And so I say all of this right now because another thing that I had to consider as we were having that conversation was considering the texture and the density of the head of hair that I was looking at. Because if I'm showing, I don't know, I wish I knew the name of people with locks here on this channel, but there's two sisters with Sisterlocks, and I can't think of one of them. I just love the way she says retie, because she says retighten, and I asked her about it, and I love the way she says it. But she has very full Sisterlocks, and I think if I would have just pointed out those locks and then came home with my locks, my husband would have been like, okay, I'm not tripping off of them, but yours don't look like that. And my hair probably will never, like 85-90% sure, my hair would never, ever, even on my fiercest day, look as full and as her locks. And there's nothing wrong with it. However, I think it also comes into this mode of expectations. What do you expect from your locking experience? What would you like from your locking experience? How would you like for them to appear? And you take that into every conversation, especially if you're looking at these videos because you want to start locks. It is so important for you to know your hair. And that's one of the benefits that I've had with this second set of locks. My first set of locks, I did a great job for knowing very little. This second set of locks, I know my hair. I know how my hair behaves. I know what my hair likes. I know the conditions in which my hair will thrive. And all of that has been a positive thing for this locking experience. And so it also became a way for my husband and I to communicate and speak apples and apples and oranges to oranges about the locking experience. So when I decided to do this, to follow my lock journey with Sisterlocks, yes, I don't do a good job of doing it all the time because I don't see a lot of change. And even now, this is fuzzy video. I understand this is like throwback YouTube, but whatever, right? But the truth is, it's a difference. And the difference and understanding those differences help to manage our expectations. If I went to a loctician, now we shouldn't expect it, but I think people still do. But if I went to a loctician expecting my hair to be as full because they're Sisterlocks and this person did the Sisterlock method and on my hair, my whole entire feelings would be messed up, shook up, and need to be rearranged, right? It doesn't mean, though, that my hair will not still be beautiful, because it is. But it does mean that it helps with managing expectations. And then also for me knowing that my hair is fine, that my hair is, even now with locks, one of the funny things is that because my hair is fine, when I do head wraps and when I do any type of headbands, stuff like that just slides off of my hair, even with locks. Always have, because I don't have the density to hold stuff put. So I have to know that about my hair when I want to do this or if I want to do something else. It's important. And so I feel like sharing, because my hair is fine, the fact that I do have, whether you want to, I don't call them struggle edges, even though I don't have edges the way that most people do, but because they're mine. And that's my situation. And I've had it for almost 35 years of my life. So it's not going anywhere. And therefore, we're going to rock what we have and we're going to make it do what it do. Right? And so that's another reason why I wanted to share this journey. Another part of that, which I have discussed before, is I took all of that knowledge into my consultation with my loctician. When I went to go see my sister, the lady that started my Sisterlocks, I told her all of these things. I was not expecting her to work a miracle. However, I did want to work with the way I know my hair works. And let me tell you something. I've said this before and I will say it again. I believe that has made a huge difference in my experience. Knowing that the way that she did my locks towards the middle and the back, and even though at the time I was like, well, these are much bigger and all this other stuff, I'm so glad that she went by what I said and what I wanted versus me kind of being on the fence when I was a little bit into my journey, and that I trusted her enough to trust her professional opinion. Even though I know my hair, she knows the process, and it has us coming together in a meeting of the minds has just worked out beautifully. And what I mean by that is the fact that when I left there, I have a little under 300 Sisterlocks. Most people want at a minimum of 400 plus Sisterlocks. Having those number of locks on my head would not have worked. Not knowing that I wanted to maintain them myself, knowing that I did not want my locks thin and falling and fragile, I don't feel like I would ever have an issue with wanting to. Now, there may be some that I would want to combine, not because I have issues, but because it will make retightening a whole lot easier. But all of this comes into educating yourself about your hair and taking that into the experience. I could have said, well, I want 400 locks because Sisterlocks are supposed to have 400. I got Sisterlocks, but I got Sisterlocks not for the name. I got Sisterlocks because I wanted the process that they use for installing Sisterlocks to be completed on my head. I did want there to be, precision parting, and an understanding of taking into consideration the shape of my head, the area of the head that she was working in, and the fact that someone was starting my locks and could look at my head versus me when I did my first set of locks. I couldn't see my head. And yes, you could do it in the mirror, but that's just not the way that I work. When I do my hair, I just never have. I don't even look in the mirror when I used to braid my hair. I do better when I go by feel. So I say all of this in this long conversation, even though this is a Sisterlock update. I mean, y'all, this all look the same. It's cold, and this is how I look most days. But I say this to say, Sisterlocks are totally possible for women with fine hair. My hair is so much. I'm gonna just do it and just treat this like a real update. I haven't done a video on the head wraps before. If it's something that you're interested in, let me know. I do wear head wraps probably 90. I don't know why I love percentages, but I think it makes a difference in when you're listening to somebody say, oh, I do this once every blue moon versus someone that is learning how to do something on a consistent basis. And pardon my light. I'm going to turn a little bit. I'm tired, y'all. I'm not even going to get out this bed. Okay. If you want something on head wraps, especially for fine hair locks, let me know. But I'm going to show you what I do. So when I wear that style, I still put on a stocking cap because this material is cotton. And this is just one I made. And then I wear this, which is, I don't know what it's called. It basically keeps the head wrap from slipping, and I like it because I lay it over my edges so that there's no extra friction, and it's made out of velvet. And so, hold on. Y'all, my hair is growing like crazy. I mist my hair, I moisturize my hair, and in the wintertime I do leave use a leave-in conditioner. I am using a new one based on a video that I watched from another YouTuber. And so far, I am glad that I did, because when you have your hair wrapped up, it will, I think it can tend to be a little bit drier because it's under all those layers, and it's also, you're in heated situations because it's winter. So here's my hair. Now, my retie was probably somewhere like 3 weeks ago, maybe. I don't do a good job of keeping track of time with that, but I think it's been like 3 weeks. And you can't tell, but I mean, if you go back to my earlier videos, you can tell it's growing like crazy. I'll be 2 years in February, and it is November. And so, no, it's going to be back dark again. So that's that. I wanted to do this because I feel that the more, when you have fine hair, the more that you have locks, I believe that you will get a more fuller appearance as your locks mature. But you still have to go into it knowing that it just won't appear like everyone else's. But the benefit of that when you have fine hair, to me, is that once our locks grow out, we can do a whole lot of things I believe that others may struggle with doing. Whether it's putting it all up in a ponytail in a bun without it being super heavy, and yet and still, because it's locks, you still get the fullness. And that's a style that I can wear now. Like I can wear a bun, y'all. With only I sound like a dude. I can wear a bun now without a whole lot of issues or a whole lot of pins. And so it's just like, I'm just excited about my decision. So in the end, I will say, if you have fine hair and you're considering starting locks and starting Sisterlocks, I'm going to say the first thing is going to go across the board. Know your hair. You know your hair, whether you've had natural hair or you've had relaxed hair. My first set of locks, I cut all my relaxed hair off and I let my hair grow for less than 2 months and started my locks. So I knew nothing about my natural hair. And yet and still, the basis of what I've learned then is the same that I know now. I know it more thoroughly because of having my hair as a loose natural for 8 years or something like that. Know your hair, know what you want, and take your realistic expectations into your loctician. And if you don't feel comfortable, and if they don't feel comfortable, find somebody else. Don't make an investment, and don't invest time, because usually that inclination that you have in your mind, or that little whisper of the spirit in you telling you don't do it, girl, that's gonna come back and bite you in the butt if you don't. If you do not, if you don't listen to yourself, because you're going to always be your best advocate. And it sounds weird, y'all. I'm putting my hair right back on because I'm cold. You're your best advocate. I always think of it, and it sounds crazy, but just like you would do with your kids, right? When your kids are younger and they're dealing with adults, they don't have the same voice that you will have for them, which is why it's important for you to have that, have an appropriate relationship and an open line of communication with your children so that they feel safe to bring things to you. Even if they know you may not approve, they still feel comfortable with bringing it to you so that you can advocate on their behalf, because you can go to another adult in a different standing, right? So I'm saying, when you go into that room and you go into that space with your loctician, then what you want to do is be an advocate for healthy hair, for a healthy set of locks, right? So that you can, whether it's, you want to do sports, or you want to swim. What I'm doing right now is I put the band of the wig cap or the stocking cap on top of this band so that it doesn't rub underneath, so that you can be the best advocate for your hair and the goals that you have. And it'll make for hopefully a better experience. And also, if you don't have the best experience, you know that you took it into the conversation. And when you go to a Sisterlock consultant, they're supposed to take notes, or I don't know if they're supposed to. Mine did. Took notes on my hair and took notes on what I wanted. And I saw her document it in a book. And I think that's important because it ensures, it told me that she heard me, and that my desires and my concerns were all listed for the record. Okay. Another reason why I do this, I put these two items underneath, is because since I have fine hair, my hair will, the wrap will slip. And putting these two items underneath makes it so that it won't slip. This is not going to look as good because I'm trying to do it in here. So with that said, know your hair. When you go to your Sisterlock consultant, it's always great to have referrals, but I believe that the referrals are only as good as you understanding and knowing the type of hair that the person that you're taking the referral from has. What do I mean by that? Me taking yes, you're going to take a referral about their experience, but if somebody has this full set of hair and they have that kind of hair, that this is different, but it's going to be with it. Oh, it look all crazy. There we go. Y'all, this is not where it was, but it's going to be what it is until I get off of here. That they have this super full set of hair. They have this hair that they could do anything to, and their hair will still function and move and thrive. That's not the same thing as when you have fine hair. You can't act all... If you have fine hair, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I am talking about. And so that goes back to the advocacy. And so know who you're working with, know what your goals are, know how it is that you take care of your hair. That's important. I think sometimes when people get locks, it can come across as this thing of you just do whatever you want to do. You have locks. I don't think for fine hair that's a smart way to go about it, unless maybe if you have large locks. I would see that maybe you could get away with that a little bit more. It's kind of like that strength in numbers type thing. But I don't think that the fact that Sisterlocks are fine has a whole lot of bearing on having fine hair, unless you get the little. It's like 700, 600 locks, and that, I think that would just go to the skill of the loctician that you have. Y'all, this old ugly bun, that's gonna drive me crazy. So with that said, let me know if you have any questions. I hope that this has helped. I hope that this has encouraged those people that watch my videos and you want Sisterlocks and you have fine hair and you're on the fence. I feel like if you're on the fence, educate yourself. That's what you're doing by watching the video. So you've done that first thing. Find a loctician that is comfortable with doing it. Not just because they're comfortable with Sisterlocks, but because they are comfortable with the fact that they've done other people's hair with fine hair. And I did talk about that with my consultant and my Sisterlock consultant, and she had experience, and then I knew about my hair. So when there were certain areas and certain things that we did over time for that, we only did it for about 6 months or less before I took over. She listened to me because she knew I knew my hair. And it worked for us. So that's it. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. Real talk, I'm about to put this up just like this with this fuzzy quality and all. I hope that this message finds you well. I hope that it has helped you. If you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you all hopefully sooner than later. Take care and goodbye.
Yeah.